everybody. Many of you have probably been familiar with the names Michael Jordan, the famous basketball star, or Albert Einstein, the genius who invented many relativity equations, such as E equals mc squared. But what do these two seemingly polar opposites have in common? The answer is they were both breastfed up to the age of 3. Now, many of you may be thinking that breastfeeding has nothing to do with Michael Jordan's athleticism or Einstein's genius. But after this speech, you may think differently. All healthy, able mothers should breastfeed. I'm qualified to speak about this due to my personal experience, having a 1-year-old that still breastfeeds, my passion and interest on the subject, and my research I've done. This is an important subject everyone should know about because one day many of us will have children, and even if not, breastfeeding can still indirectly affect you and society as a whole. The topics I will be covering today are breast milk benefits baby and mom, how breast milk benefits society, and how much more convenient it is to breastfeed, or easier. Breast milk benefits baby and mom because breast milk is all the baby needs for the first year of life. It contains all the nutrients purely for your baby and is made specifically for your child. Professionals recommend breastfeeding up to 2 years and beyond, but sadly, on the breastfeeding report card on U.S. mothers in 2010, only 75% of women breastfed right after birth or postpartum, and that number got even smaller to 40% of exclusively breastfeeding mothers, which means that no supplementing with formula, to 40%, and then 14% through 6 months, and it got even smaller beyond. And it's surprising because in other countries, they actually breastfeed up to 5 years and possibly even longer. Breast milk keeps baby healthier. It contains antibodies in the breast milk, which, if your baby is sick, it will help your baby get better faster. And even if the mom is sick, it's recommended to continue breastfeeding because it will prevent your child from getting sick. And also reduces the risk of allergies and asthma. Babies who are breastfed also have fewer ear infections. When babies drink from a bottle, it's really easy to get milk from it. But when babies are breastfed, they actually have to work their jaw muscles, and it actually reduces the risk of getting ear infections. It's also shown that babies who are breastfed have a higher IQ. And babies are just overall healthier. They generally meet their weight requirements. They have fewer hospital and doctor's visits, and it reduces the risk of SIDS, or sudden infant death. And it's a death that's still a mystery. It's a death in which babies will just be sleeping and they just stop breathing. In a 2011 study, breastfed infants were shown to be 60% less likely to die from SIDS. And in another case control study, it suggested that formula feeding is actually associated with a 1.6 to 2.1-fold increased odds of SIDS compared to breastfeeding. Now, there are many other factors in SIDS, but this one is just showing the breastfeeding versus formula. For mom, breastfeeding is healthier for her because it helps her recover from childbirth faster. It also promotes an amazing mother-baby bonding experience. And moms who breastfeed actually burn 200 to 500 calories per day. It also lowers the risk for uterine and ovarian cancers, which is common in women. And a statement by pediatrics and researchers from Harvard-Boston Children's Hospital is, breastfeeding your baby for as long as mother and baby are able and willing is the best long-term investment you can make into the emotional, intellectual, and physical health of both mother and child. I have just told you how important breast milk is to both mother and child. I will now explain how breast milk affects society as a whole. Breastfeeding has a positive impact on society. For healthcare, healthier babies means less hospital and doctor's visits. $3 to $4 billion is spent each year in child surgeries and treatment for ear infections. And $1 billion is spent in treatment for babies with diarrhea, which breastfeeding can prevent both. Recent studies confirm that insurance payers spend more healthcare dollars on medical costs of formula-fed babies than breastfed babies. And a quote from the April 2010 issue of Pediatrics quoted that if 80 to 90% of women breastfed their newborns for at least 6 months, between $10.5 and $13 billion would be saved in healthcare. And in the environment, breastfeeding only requires mother and baby. It uses no natural resources like the formula company, so no paper, oil, aluminum, or glass, and no manpower, so no transportation, packaging, storage, or refrigeration. So it just helps the environment altogether. And the lives of babies would be saved if more mothers would breastfeed. More than 700 lives of babies would be saved each year if mothers would breastfeed for the first 6 months of life. Because $13 billion is spent annually and suffers 911 preventable deaths per year due to lack of breastfeeding. 95% of these deaths are due to SIDS, or sudden infant death, necrotizing enterocolitis, which is a condition found in premature babies, and lower respiratory infections such as pneumonia. And breastfeeding has been shown to reduce the risk of all three of these. Breastfeeding is also linked to higher education. For mom who is working, if she has a healthy breastfed infant, less absences at work. And if she's a school mom, like myself, a healthy breastfed baby means less absences at school for me, so higher education. It's also linked to breastfed babies who have a higher IQ are linked to higher education, occupational adjustment, and social adjustment. And the cost. Formula companies are a $1 billion revenue. The average family spends $1,100 to $1,200 on formula alone in the first year. And that's just on formula, not including the bottles and the supplies you need along with it. When you exclusively breastfeed, it's free. I have just listed out how breastfeeding indirectly affects everyone as a society. I will now move over to how much more convenient it is to breastfeed. Breastfeeding is easier. You can just need baby and mother, and you can breastfeed anywhere. From short trips to the grocery store or the park to vacations out of town, all you need is baby and mom. Compared to formula, you need the equipment, the milk, and you have to check the temperature and the expiration dates. And imagine having to wake up every couple hours or so in the middle of the night to warm your formula, hold your baby to feed, and then put your baby back to sleep, and then go back to bed just to wake up a couple hours later to feed your baby again. Whereas, for me, example, when my baby got hungry at night, I would just feed her and go back to sleep. It's perfectly healthy and normal to do. And also, there are laws protecting breastfeeding mothers. So, laws vary from state to state, but in 2009, breastfeeding mothers were protected under the anti-discrimination laws and can breastfeed in public places like restaurants, pools, buildings, museums, libraries, and parks. And for schools, they should provide a room or a lactation room. For here at Edmonds Community College, we are actually the first community college around here that actually has a lactation room, which is a private room where moms can pump or breastfeed, and it's helped me and so many other mothers. So hopefully having this room will set the, other colleges will follow in our footsteps. And so I've just gone over how breastfeeding benefits baby and mom, how breastfeeding can benefit society, and how breastfeeding is just easier. All healthy, able mothers should breastfeed. Breastfeeding affects more than just the child or even the family doing it. It affects us all as a society. The children born today will be the leaders of tomorrow, and allowing them to get the best start in life is pushing them to their full potential. Michael Jordan's mother quoted that, "I feel this is why he is the athlete he is." Who knows if your next child is the next Jordan or Einstein? What I do know is they may not be if not given the best start at birth. Thank you.